station of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
It is a hot and muggy afternoon in the city of brotherly love. The Marlins and the Phillies will be sweating it out, not just for one, but for two here. A doubleheader starts momentarily, Citizens Bank Park. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollinsworth. Miami is 2 under with 2 to play here today. So it's a doubleheader, and for the Marlins, a real opportunity.
Yeah, it's funny how it all works its way. You know, a Major League season, kind of weaves and bobs, and you get back to the 60 and 62 record that the Marlins have right now. You go back to the last time they were here in Philadelphia. They went 4-19 from the first game they played Phillies, and that goes into the awful May that they had. I've called it the death spiral. They've since recovered. Well, guess what? You're back in Philadelphia. You got a doubleheader today, and you got your 2 best guys on the mound, and Straily and Urania, but you need to start winning some big baseball games, particularly against the Phillies and this division.
All right, let's take a look at the pitching matchup. Now, this is a straight doubleheader, so a 4 o'clock game and about 25 minutes between games 1 and 2. Dan Straily, Aaron Nola. Marlins get the best that the Phillies have in game 1.
Yeah, Nola's been throwing the ball really, really well. Somewhat overlooked this year probably because he's pitching for the Philadelphia Phillies and they've had a dismal season, but he has been outstanding. Great sinker, good curveball, but Straley's been throwing the ball well as well.
And maybe the Marlins' hottest starter, Jose Urania, goes in game 2.
Good to see him going in game 2, maybe as a little insurance. Obviously, as I just said, Nola's going, but a chance to go out and get that doubleheader sweep. And guess what? They're a little bit more common than I think we all really believe they are. You think you're playing 2, it usually goes 1-1. That's not really the case. 51.4% of the time. This is going back to 2000. Doubleheader sweeps actually happen.
Well, we'll find out what's going to happen next as the Marlins 2 under with 2 to play here. It starts a 4-gamer on a hot, sticky afternoon in Philadelphia. Dan Straily takes aim at the Phils next. Brought to you by the all-new Jeep Compass. By your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. By Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. In Philadelphia, you see a few clouds around. Rain is not expected. Humidity is quite high. Temperatures are up there as well. 93 degrees, heat advisory throughout the Philadelphia area. But the Marlins and the Phillies both took batting practice. Both had an off day yesterday after Sunday games. The Marlins taking 2 of 3 against the Mets over the weekend. And the Phillies actually winning the last 2 in their 4-game set in San Francisco against the Giants. D. Gordon set to lead it off. Southwest brings you the lineup. As usual, Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, JT Realmuto follow. Derek Dietrich's been swinging it real well. Tomas Talis starting to come out of it. Miguel Rojas gets the start. He's in the 8th spot, and Dan Straily will hit 9th.
And there he is, Aaron Nola. The Auto Nation scouting report for today's ball game. Game number 1, 6'2", 295 pounds, 24 years old. Yes, he's got a hot hand. All right, before his last start, it was a rough one in San Francisco. 5 earned runs, 5 innings pitched. He had gone 10 consecutive starts with 2 earned runs or less while going 7+ in 7 of the 10. That's a 1.71 ERA. All right, sinking feeling, that's what he specializes with. Only a few in Major League Baseball get more drop on their sinker than Nola, 91 to 93 miles an hour. And curve ahead, this is where he goes for the strikeouts. 103 swing and misses at his curveball so far this season. So he's a good combination of sinker, curveball. Good results here of late.
Nola's numbers 9 and 8 of 3.26, and that really doesn't illustrate how well he's pitched of late.
Yeah, he has been really rolling well, racking up strikeouts and pitching deep into ball games. He is their best starter and certainly the piece that the Philadelphia Phillies believe he would be to build around.
Nola finishing up his warm-up tosses right now. Defensively, the Phillies are not a bad defensive team. There's Pete Buchanan, their skipper.
Let's take a look at this Philadelphia Phillies defense. Hoskins, boy, he's been really swinging the bat. He's going to get the start in left. The defense. We got Williams in center. Kim over from the Baltimore Orioles. He's going to make the start in right field. Franco, Galvis, Hernandez, and Joseph. Cameron Rupp behind the plate.
Don Mattingly and the Fish arriving here, and as Todd documented, their last trip here was not a pleasant one. A rain out. They had 2 days off from winning that series in San Diego, and that's when everything went stale for almost a month's time and buried Miami in the East standings. But the Fish have won 7 of 9. They are 60 and 62, and they get a Phillies team here for 4 games. 2 this afternoon. Aaron Nola, D. Gordon ready to go. Gordon, Stanton, Yelich for Miami. And on a warm, sticky afternoon, you got to bet the ball's going to be jumping in this small ballpark here in Philly. Gordon cracks one left center field. After it is Williams, and he's not going to get it. Bangs off the wall. Gordon racing for second, and he pulls in with a double. And Miami off to a flying start.
Now right out of the gate, D. Gordon jumping on the first pitch he sees. This is an elevated 2-seamer, sinker. Stays up above the knees. And you see the great swing right there, driving it to left center field. Great start. You never have issues with your leadoff hitter swinging early if it results in a double off the wall.
So there's D. Now hopefully he gets the glove out of his mouth before this next pitch. Remember, he stole a base in New York with the glove in his mouth. And if it works, why not stay with it? Here is Stanton now. Giancarlo sitting at 45. The Marlins have not seen a ton of Aaron Nola. And Stanton in particular just has a couple of at-bats. He's 1 for 2 against this young right-hander. The 24-year-old out of Baton Rouge and LSU. The slider misses out.
Stanton outstanding numbers versus the Phillies this year. 5 homers, 8 RBIs, 304 batting average in the 7 games they've played so far.
Gordon dashes back to second. Stanton in New York, very patient. He walked 5 times in 3 games. And of course, he homered on Sunday. That was against Jacob deGrom. Nola misses out.
Well, Nola just 3 home runs allowed in his last 63 innings pitched. He's really had that sinker working along with the curveball. Sinker, he will throw a 4-seam fastball. As I said, the curveball does have a changeup too.
The pitch is down low. Mike Everett calling balls and strikes. Nick Marley, Tom Woodring, and Jordan Baker on the bases. Stanton right now with a 3-0 count. Let's see if A, he gets something down the middle, and B, if he's swinging. Tailing fastball, and it catches the plate, and it's 3-1.
New York Mets walked Stanton 5 times in the last series. He had to prove his patience until that home run. He got something to handle.
Gordon at second. Stanton cracks one to the left side. That's Galvis across the diamond in time to get him. So Nola gets Stanton. Now you've got Yelich and Ozuna trying to put Miami on the board to start this doubleheader here on a Tuesday afternoon. Both teams off yesterday. Here's Yelich.
The Marlins pretty good at getting off to a good start. 36 in 21 when they score first. They're tops. They're tied with Milwaukee now in scoring runs in the first inning at 95. So one thing a lot of times leads to another with this Marlins team. They'd love to get Gordon around and in.
Yelich against this right-hander has just 6 at bats, and he is 2 for 6. One of those 2, though, a home run.
Yelich coming off a huge Sunday. He's 3 for 5 in getaway day in New York. A couple of RBI base hits, a run, 11 stolen base on the season. And when they were kind of messing around with Stanton a little bit, Yelly was busy driving guys in.
Outfield plays him a bit towards left center. And Nola gets the breaking ball across. And it's 0-2. Aaron Nola, first round pick of the Phils. Back in 2014, he was 7th overall out of LSU. Breaking ball misses down low. He's got a younger brother, or actually an older brother, Austin, who has been in Miami's system since the Marlins took him in the 5th round in 2012. Has always been an infielder, but his brother Austin is making the transition to catcher. He's catching games this year. Started at AAA, has been down at AA. Trying to add that skill to what is already a pretty versatile resume. Gordon inching away from second. Yelich, and it's by Galvis into left center field. Gordon comes racing home. Yelich is not stopping, and he's in there with a double.
Great swing of the bat with 2 strikes. Great base running by Yelich as well. Nice read around first base. Hesitated just a little bit to read it into center field and able to get into second base. So you see already with Nola, when he is up, obviously there's less sink, there's less movement. Both Marlins hits have come from the lefties going the other way. T. Gordon to left center field. Yelich going the other way as well. Good start here in the first.
Phillies overshifted for Yelich. Galvis was shaded behind the bag at second and couldn't get there. And here comes Ozuna now. Marcell Ozuna has homered against Aaron Nola. And a breaking ball misses outside. Ozuna in New York was terrific. He was 5 for 8 with 3 runs driven in, had a lot of big hits. Marlins won the Sunday game by a score of 6-4 behind 7 outstanding innings from Adam Conley. Ozuna's fly ball is headed towards the seats, and it gets there. Count a ball and a strike. This is going to be I know it's a hackneyed broadcaster expression. It's going to be a late arriving crowd because it's a 4 o'clock start. The makeup game from that rain out when the Marlins were here in late April. The regularly scheduled start is tonight at 7 o'clock on all the tickets and all of that. So fans, it's an old-fashioned doubleheader. It's one ticket, gets you both games. They're not going to empty the stadium like a lot of ball clubs do. If you're here now, you can stay for all 18 innings if that's what it takes. Yelich still at second. 1-0 Miami. Ozuna fights that fastball, dumps it in almost the same spot in the seats. It's 1-2 now.
This Philadelphia Phillies team has actually played a little bit better at home. Obviously, it's been a very trying season. 45-77 doesn't really say a whole lot, but when you're 24-31, what is that? 7 games under 500. It's certainly more respectable than what they've been doing on the road. So they've attained what they were looking for. I think on the whole, it's a disappointing season, but they have played better ball here in Philly. 16-19 here in the second half.
Nola with that fastball in on Ozuna's hands, and as fast as his hands are, that ball was so far inside that even he couldn't get around and put a barrel on it.
Well, and the approach was what do you want to see from Ozuna? We've talked about it time and time again, how quick he is in pulling a lot of times that ball, that two-seamer to the inside part of the plate. Ozuna here with 2 strikes is trying to stay inside that baseball. That would have been a lot different had he tried to pull it.
Counts 1-2. And he got him. Nola with a breaking ball. Ozuna strikes out. And it's up to Real Muto to try to cash another run in this inning.
Well, you're going to see an awful lot of that breaking ball today. Throws it about 30% of the time. When he does throw it, as I mentioned earlier, 18% of the time he gets a swing and a miss, as you see right there from Ozuna.
Now, part of the bargain of playing it at 4 in the afternoon here in Philadelphia are shadows, which have enveloped home plate right now. There is some overcast, so it's not as bright as it could be, but still it's a struggle for the hitters right now.
That's the only shadow on the field. Everything else is still in sunlight.
And that brightness right now is going up and down as the sun darts in and around those clouds. No eclipse though tonight. That's already come and gone.
We'd have a little temperature drop then, I think, if we had an eclipse, right? I don't feel the temperature drop.
We'd all have to put funny glasses on. That foul ball back to the screen. And the count's 0-2 on Real Muto. JT had just 1 hit in New York, but it was a glorious one, wasn't it? A 2-run homer and a big one at that in the Friday night win by the Marlins.
Certainly JT would love to get the bat going once again, but I'll say this, he called in it. I went back and looked at the game again on Sunday. Boy, did he call a fantastic game with Conley. Well, that was a great game plan. It was a huge start for Conley, for the Marlins. They wanted to get that win badly and obviously finish off the Mets.
Here was that 1 hit, and it certainly was an important one.
Well, maybe he sees another breaking ball like this afternoon. Nola does throw a few of them. That one up and out. Great swing right there from JT.
That was a 2-run shot, and the Marlins won the ball game 3-1. And I'm impressed that you went back and watched every pitch of Sunday's game.
Now 75% of the pitches, not all 100%.
Now I know what you did on your day off. JT got jammed, and a soft ground ball out to Hernandez at first. But Miami's on the board. Couple doubles. D. Gordon and Christian Yelich. It's 1-0. Glad you're with us on this afternoon with the Fish. We're going all night. The Phillies and the Marlins playing a doubleheader. Southwest brings you the Phillies lineup. Cesar Hernandez in the leadoff spot. Freddie Galvis hits second. Nick Williams is in center field. Reese Hoskins is in left field. Tommy Joseph hitting fifth. Young Soo Kim, acquired from the Orioles, in right field. Michael Franco is at third base. Cameron Rupp, the catcher, and Aaron Nola is the pitcher.
Well, there he is, Dan Straily. He's looking for his first win since July 7th. That's 7 starts. He's not gone 6 innings his last 3, but he has been throwing the ball much better, as I've said. Fastball, slider, changeup. That slider and changeup are huge. Going to be big pitches today. That slider in particular, 112 swing and misses against it. Hitters only hitting 212.
Cesar Hernandez, Freddie Galvis, and Nick Williams. Dan Straily going old school with the Sox and missing up with a fastball. Hernandez been at the top of the lineup throughout. And Straily gets a strike.
Well, Dan's made a couple starts versus the Phillies this season. 1 a win, 1 a loss. Back to May, had an outstanding performance. 10 strikeouts, just over 6 innings, 6 2/3 to be exact. July 9th. Took the loss, 4 earned runs in 5 innings pitched, so 1 of each. You see the numbers there in the second half, 5.20. Road ERA 4.63 as well. He's given up 13 home runs. Certainly wants to keep the ball in the yard here at Citizens Bank Park.
Chopper to short, and that's Rojas. Miguel Rojas makes the play. Miami defensively behind Dan Straily in this first game of the double dip.
And here's your defense. Ozuna, Yelich, and Stanton. Dietrich, Rojas, Gordon Talese gets the start at first base. JT Realmuto behind home plate for Dan Straily. This is a very, very important series. You may even say it's a very important day. You say why? Well, they've got to play the Philadelphia Phillies an awful lot more. And at this ballpark since 2000, Philadelphia Phillies are 20 games over 500 against the Marlins.
Yeah, Marlins have not played well here of late, and you're right, the importance not only of this series but the rest of August and September against the Phils. That's 11 games.
Yeah, we got 7 more here, and one thing leads to another. And you say, okay, well, listen, we're trying to buy in. The Marlins are 60-62 right now. They're out right on the edge of that wild card conversation. You've heard the Marlins players talking about, you know, just worrying about today, winning a ball game. We'll let tomorrow worry about itself. That's fine and dandy, but here's the thing. It's got to set itself up. They've got a chance against the Brewers, the Diamondbacks, and the Rockies in September. They play them all. But you've got to set yourself up so that those games actually mean something. It means taking care of business against the Philadelphia Phillies, who are, yeah, that's right, 45-77 on the season.
That's a swing. And down goes Galvis. That's Jordan Baker, the third base umpire.
An elevated changeup, well above the letters. Galvis, very aggressive. Went far enough. 2 down here in the first.
Nick Williams now. Marlins got a brief look at Williams down at Marlins Park. This is a guy that came over in the Cole Hamels trade with the Texas Rangers. Second-round pick originally of Texas.
Well, it was a brief look, but it was an impressive look, Rich. 429 in the series, a homer, 6 RBIs that day. Excuse me, those 3 games. He was absolutely all over it.
Straily with a good changeup there. And they count 1-2. There's injuries for sure for both teams. Marlins are playing with just 1/4 of their regular infield. Although I think Rojas can be considered now a regular at short. But in the middle of the Phillies lineup, you're missing guys like Odubel Herrera and Aaron Altair. Of course, remember Howie Kendrick was a Phil, and he's upgraded, so to speak. The Washington Nationals. Fastball misses up.
Well, and that's another reason why you believe this is a good opportunity for the Marlins to really take advantage of this Philadelphia Phillies team, even though they haven't played particularly well against them historically. The ballpark, they're missing a couple of their boppers.
Straily walks him. And Williams is aboard. Here's Hoskins now. He's a fascinating player. I mean, a big guy, 6'4", 225. Player of the year for the Phillies in the minor leagues last year. And man, is he off to a great start power-wise. Reese Hoskins.
5 home runs in his first 11 games.
Yes. And the amazing thing is he didn't start out all that well. Hoskins began his major league career 0 for 12. He's 9 for 26 since. And 5 of the 9 hits, as you pointed out, home runs.
Dan Straily better be real careful here. He has been missing up in the zone a few of his pitches here in the first inning. He did pick up a strikeout on the changeup, but that was only because it was way high. Dan does not want to live up there in the zone. Hoskins, he's been a mixed bag so far. You mentioned it. 5 home runs of late of the 9 hits, 9 RBIs, 8 walks, and 7 strikeouts, so it has a pretty good eye as well.
He's out of Sacramento State. Same territory as bench coach Larry Boa. Boa, Sacramento product. Right now, there's a few hitters and a few swings where it feels like and looks like those shadows are having an effect. There's Larry Boa, synonymous with the Phillies. Gets a strike on a check swing foul ball.
Good meeting by JT Realmuto.
There's got to be a stat there. Somebody.
You like that I watched that?
Somebody must be keeping track of good mound visit, bad mound visit for both catchers and pitching coaches.
We were just in New York, and they went out to visit Jacob deGrom before the Stanton home run, literally the pitch before it. So you tell me, was that a good meeting or a bad one?
Even advanced metrics would term that as a bad one.
Well, there's no other way around it. What possibly could have been said in that exchange as far as the pitch selection, the sequencing, or even maybe the execution, because Stanton hits the base hit of the game, obviously, the 3-run home run, the following pitch.
But you know, as a father of 4, you can say all the right things.
True.
And
kids don't always listen.
All the necessary things. It doesn't always turn out great. That one foul back out of play.
Right. Well, JT has gotten him locked back in. That's the point. Back into this count now, 2-2, and 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning. Philadelphia Phillies, second fewest runs scored in all of baseball, so that's really their biggest problem, biggest hurdle this year has been coming up with the runs.
Center field, deep, Yelich, back, track, wall, and I believe it's gone. Ball still on the turf, and scoring is Williams. Maybe it didn't go out. Yelich collided with the wall. The ball popped out. Let's see where it hits. That's a home run. That's going to be reviewed, and that's going to be a 2-run homer for Reese Hoskins.
Yeah, it hits the top of the wall, bounces into the bushes, and then bounces back out onto the field. For Dan Straily, he'd love to have that elevated pitch back. That's exactly what that meeting was about, I'm sure of it. Dan right back to the top of the strike zone.
But you were all over it. When you're missing high in this ballpark, things can change in a hurry.
It's absolutely the truth, especially on a warm day like today.
And it's a home run. And so the assault of Reese Hoskins continues for the Phillies. That is 6 home runs already.
Sometimes the unknown. We talk about these things all the time in the game of baseball. You see a hitter for the first time. You see what the numbers tell you. You maybe even see a few swings. Of course, Hoskins has no history with the Marlins. It's almost like you have to see it to believe it. Well, hopefully for the rest of this series, the Marlins will certainly acknowledge the power of Hoskins. As he takes the ball out to center field for a 2-run home run.
Well, you could just see that coming, and not just in the Hoskins at bat, the walk to Williams as well. Straily was up.
And he even picked up the strikeout against Galvis at the top of the strike zone with his changeup.
Tommy Joseph takes the strike.
Dan is absolutely at his best when he's driving the ball down in the zone. He starts out down, he can go up, but he cannot start out up and go down.
Joseph has hit a funk right now, 0 for his last 16.
521 OPS in the second half.
Count 1-2. So the Phillies have homered. Hoskins on the road trip with all 5 of those home runs, including 2 against the Giants on Sunday. So he's at 3 home runs in his last game and an inning.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can backtrack all this to the Williams at bat. Dan got way ahead of Williams with 2 strikes and was unable to put him away. You want to be able to take full advantage of this Phillies lineup right now. They're missing a couple of their best hitters. Herrera, what a huge break that is. He's riding a 17-game hitting streak. He's on the DL with a sore left hamstring. I mean, to eliminate him right off the top just to the disabled list is huge. Altair's been a fantastic player for the Phillies this year. He's on the disabled list, strained right hamstring.
Joseph has to get out of the way, and Joseph's slump right now, 5 of his last 56. Hoskins actually is a first baseman, but he's playing left field to get Joseph's bat in the lineup. And that pop-up is behind the plate, out of play. Tomas Telis. It's a 9-pitch at bat with a scatter shot Fox tracks. And look at the pitches this inning. Straily's thrown 32. And he strikes out Joseph. But the Phillies jump right back on top. Reese Hoskins, a 2-run homer. It's 2-1. family. The Hall of Fame legendary Spanish broadcaster Felo Ramirez passed away. And before the ball game, a moment of silence, a class move by the Phillies. Felo Ramirez was 94. His broadcasting career spanned 8 decades. Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. Just amazing. He started broadcasting in 1945 and worked all the way up. His last broadcast, and there is Yiki Quintana, who is working alone today. The last broadcast for Felo was here in Philadelphia. And of course, that awful fall that he had. Ball into the seats. He spent a long time in the hospital up here, then returned to Miami, and he lost the battle this morning. Marlins have a jersey with 94 and Felo's name hanging in their dugout. And if you didn't catch Marlins Live, we invite you between games to make sure you catch Marlins Live. Both the posts and the pre. It'll be about a 25-minute gap between games. There's a really nice piece that everyone's put together. Derek Dietrich lines that one foul. And it counts 2-2.
My thoughts and certainly prayers to his family. I got to be with him for a short period of time, obviously, and feeling the impact that he has left, and even here on all of you around the Marlins organization, is one of great loss. Very, very nice man, very cordial, very helpful to me.
Dietrich rips one to right, and that ball's going to the wall off a hop. And it kind of dies there at the base of the wall, picked up by Kim, and Dietrich arrives at second. So the Marlins already have 3 doubles, 6 hitters in.
Well, it's good to see. Picking on the right pitches. Again, we've talked about elevation from both Nola and Straily, and up in the zone, both are going to get hit hard. Neither possess the overwhelming velocity on their pitches, particularly the fastballs. For Nola, he's not going to get away with 2 seamers at the belt.
Now the Marlins have Talise and Rojas. Straily is 3 hitters away, and that makes this Talise at bat even more important. Talise had a couple of hits in New York, a single on Sunday.
He's got a multi-hit effort. 3 of his last 5 ball games, 5 RBIs.
Pulls it to the right side. Joseph flips. Nola is there. Dietrich's now at third base. And the Marlins 90 feet away from tying this ball game. So this is always a fascinating spot for a manager. If you're Pete Mackanin, how do you play your infield? How do you pitch to Rojas? You've got the pitcher on deck. There is only 1 out.
I think you're going to watch the Philadelphia Phillies pitch very carefully to Rojas, because Dan Straley's behind him, and if they've done their homework, they know that Dan is very good at bunting, but not very good at hitting. And that their percentages in their favor, it lies in Straily being up at the plate with 1 out and runners on first and third. So, I mean, that's their worst case scenario. If they can keep their infield guys on the corner end and get a ground ball, so be it.
There's the ground ball, and it's going to score a run. Galvis in time to get the out. And a nice job by Miguel Rojas.
Absolutely right. And you say, well, what are you talking about? That's a slow roller to the left side. Well, early action, that's what you're certainly searching for there. The at-bat gets much tougher as it goes. Franco unable to come up with it. That slow grounder to the left side is good enough to tie this ball game up.
So Straily now comes to the plate with 2 outs and a 2-2 game. And Miami's been able to cash in on both leadoff doubles. Straily down the right field line, and it is a fair ball. Bite your tongue, Todd Hollandsworth.
Yes, that's payback. That's, well, listen, maybe I spoke it into being. I don't know.
And he gets a loud ovation. Straily pumping his fist. It hasn't had too many of these moments in his career. That is just his third career hit in 97 at-bats.
He must have me plugged in. A little payback right there. Well, Dan will take it, no
That's
doubt.
plenty of chalk, too. Now that'll bring a smile. And here's Gordon, who doubled off the base of the wall in left field. That opened up the ball game. 4 hits first time through against Aaron Nola. Gordon had 3 hits in New York, but it was his legs more so than his bat that impacted a couple of ball games. Gordon swings and misses. Had 3 stolen bases, scored 4 runs. He's behind the count, 0-2. Stanton's on deck. As you see Gordon digging in.
And so far, first time through, the lefty's doing the damage. 3 of the 4 hits. Doubles by the left-handed hitters in the lineup today.
One and 2. That one nearly hit Gordon. Two balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. A run in the first for Miami. Phillies answered with a Hoskins 2-run homer. But the Marlins have that run back. Another double by Dietrich. He scores on a ground ball out from Miguel Rojas. Gordon stays alive.
He continues to fight off a tough curveball and just gets a piece of it. Certainly would like to get something up.
Two on the ground. Joseph to the bag, and the inning ends, but Miami draws back even. Just starting our day here in Philly. First of 2, it's 2-2. National Dog Day is Sunday, August 27th, and the Marlins will celebrate with a second Bark at the Park. For you humans out there, $16 for a ticket. For you dogs out there, $10 and 2 Scooby Snacks. And the proceeds support the Humane Society of Broward County. Get your tickets at marlins.com/special events. I thought the Dolphins were in town to play the Eagles, not the Falcons.
He's looking for lunch.
This is very cool. Whenever you get the super slow-mo on this is like Nature Channel, baby.
Yeah.
He's going down to check out Freddie Galvis, who was spitting sunflower seeds, I think.
Pretty cool.
Or there's a cheesesteak that's fallen.
Still pretty early.
It is. All right, now let's see if Dan Straily can get the baseball down. It cost him in the first with a walk to Nick Williams and a 2-run homer to Reese Hoskins. Young Soo Kim at the plate. Kim, a guy that the Phillies got. Trade with the Baltimore Orioles. It was the Jeremy Hellickson deal.
Just making his third start in right field today. Been around a whole lot. In fact, he's looking for his first hit at this ballpark.
He was looking for a walk there. And it's taken for a strike. It's 3-1. But look at the location again for Straily.
Dan Straily, first 2 batters of the ball game, 2 outs on 10 pitches. Next 3 batters, it took him 23 pitches. Walk, homer, and a strikeout.
2 hops for Gordon. Flips it on over to first. And that brings up Maikel Franco for the Phils. For the Phils, it's been a forgettable season record-wise at 45-77. Many felt the Phils not necessarily turned a corner, but took a nice step forward last year and would continue that progression, but it just hasn't worked out. You've got young players still finding their legs in the big leagues. Franco swings and misses. And you've got a franchise who obviously had that great run with a World Championship and another World Series appearance, the remnants of which are essentially all gone. Howard's gone, Utley's gone, Rollins gone, Charlie Manuel gone. Pete Mackanin has been charged with leading a very young and raw team. And they've taken more lumps this year than they did last year.
Well, certainly more than they anticipated. And Franco is a player who, as well, has taken his lumps. Put up very good numbers against the Marlins this year, though. 13 for 26 in 7 games. Got a couple home runs, 9 RBIs. Does lead this Phillies team in homers and RBIs as well.
That went foul back to the screen. And so the Phillies will take wins any way they can get them this year. They did win 2 in San Francisco after losing 6 straight. And the highlight in San Francisco was Ty Kelly's pinch hit grand slam. And of course the onslaught of the youngster Reese Hoskins. He had 2 home runs on Sunday. Got him, breaking ball, good downward cut too. So 3 strikeouts, but a lot of pitches to get there for Dan Straily. You can see 46.
It hasn't been as simple as using his fastball to get ahead and getting to that slider to put hitters away. He is now leaning on that slider to actually get ahead and really not trusting his fastball command right now. It's the one pitch he's really struggled to get down in the zone, so he's using those secondary pitches just a little bit more, and it's costing him in the pitch total category. Now at 46 here in the second.
You saw that matchup for the second game. Jose Urena, Nick Pivetta for the Phillies. A while ago, Major League Baseball instituted the rule that if you have a doubleheader, you can add a 26th man to your roster for the day. And Severino Gonzalez is that guy for the Marlins. Right-handed pitcher. Everybody seems to just add a pitcher in that case. Arlen Garcia also was reinstated from the disabled list. Javi Guerra was designated for assignment, and if he's not claimed, will probably end up back in New Orleans and might end up back here on September 1st when rosters expand.
Well, if you told teams they could add 2 players for a doubleheader, I bet they'd both be pitchers.
That's right. Talise, looking in the sun, has room and makes the catch. He's getting better at that play. Giancarlo Stanton leads it off in Philly after 2-2.
Welcome you back here. Giancarlo Stanton gets set to lead off. In the last series, the Mets pitched against Stanton probably better than anybody else of late. They really pitched around him. He, in fact, walked 5 times in the first 2 games, but only D. Gordon getting on 1 time in front of those walks. The other times, though, when they made a mistake, he was able to hit the home run. He had 2 hits in the series. And one thing, guys, that Don Mattingly talked about was the fact that teams think Giancarlo Stanton still has that swing and miss quality to his game. He struck out 120 times, it's fair. So they tend to go after him more than you would think. He said the problem is when they make a mistake, Stanton has been able to make them pay. Rich?
All right, thank you, Craig. Giancarlo Stanton in the box. Appointment television. Everybody gather around. Stanton bounced to short in the first. Nola's fastball catches the outside part. There's your August numbers for Stanton. His run of home runs continues with the shot on Sunday. 12 in his last 16 games.
19 since the All-Star break. In fact, he's reached base 25 consecutive ball games as well. He and Joey Votto.
Pitch was out. You could see Rupp try to frame it. And that first called strike was out as well.
Well, it's also got the sinking tailing action, so Nola's starting this pitch way off the outside corner and bringing it back.
Stanton swings and misses. 96 on the fastball, and Aaron Nola has his second strikeout. If you can't watch the game at home, take it with you on your mobile device. Your tablet, your watch, iPad, phone, with all new Fox Sports Go. Download it now at the App Store and take Fox Sports Florida and the Marlins with you wherever you go. Yelich RBI double back in the first. And he takes a strike. It is Tuesday, and so although it's a somewhat of a late announcement, emails and tweets. We'll start him here in the first game. We have a few that have started without the official first email of the night, and a lot of them obviously are really nice tributes and thoughts and words and prayers for Felo Ramirez. At Fox Marlins. FoxMarlins at gmail.com is how you get a hold of us. Yelich sends that one up into the blue Philadelphia day. Williams is still going back. My goodness. That carried all the way to the track about 395 feet from home plate. And if that's any indication, this could be a day of runs and long balls.
You know what breeze there is does appear to be blowing out. You see right there with the flags. Combine that with high temperatures. Look at that young man. How you doing?
That's a great shot.
Sure is.
I love the jersey. That's the home jersey. When the team's on the road, he's got the road grays.
Waiting for his cheesesteak, but he's going to have to settle for fingers.
Yeah, cheesesteak might be problematic. Not many teeth in there yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if Gerber's makes a cheesesteak baby food, but if they did, it would be popular here in Philadelphia.
Yes, it would.
There you go. There's plenty of choices here at the ballpark. You can choose from a variety of places. Tony Luke's. You see Campos. There's Tony Luke's. Of course, that's the spot where Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run here long ago. And that's a good look, too. 1-1.
Well, certainly looks a little bit more locked in this second time through, at least the middle of the Marlins lineup.
Swing and a miss. Nola goes 1-2-3 for the first time today. Strikes out 2.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and the descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
In Philly, first of two, and a 2-2 ball game. And Straily, Aaron Nola, and a first pitch fastball for a strike. Emails and tweets, some of the condolences and memories of Felo Ramirez. Jamie from Davie. It's a very sad day. I want to send my condolences to the family. He was the first and longest voice of the Marlins. Rest in peace, Felo. God now has one of the greatest to do play-by-play. Nola swings and misses. Mario says, I'm sure Felo is calling Jose's perfect game. Rest in peace. Swing and a miss. And Dan Straily gets a strikeout. And again, if you missed Marlins Live pregame, Marlins Live between games, we will have the tribute. Some incredible photographs and video of Felo Ramirez's career. It's like if you know those old black and white newsreels from the 30s and the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Felo's life was like that in its early stages when he got into the major leagues and started doing games. And there's all kinds of photographs with DiMaggio, with Mantle.
He's a young man in
with
most of those
Yogi.
pictures.
There's a great shot of him. I believe it's with Yogi Berra, and standing behind them is Vin Scully, who looks like he's 18 in the photo. And it looks like somewhat of a movie itself, but it was his life. I mean, that's where he was, and that's what he did. He started in 1945. I think it was 30 World Series, 30 All-Star games. Great boxing announcer as well. Almost all of Muhammad Ali's big fights, Felo was there for that. And of course, for the Marlins, he was there for both World Championships. 5 of the no-hitters. Three-two. All of a sudden, Straily has a pair of strikeouts here in the third. Here's some of the photos. MarlinsBaseball.com/Felo is a site where you can go if you want to leave your condolences or your thoughts. That's Felo on the far right. I love the number.
Sage.
That's right.
94.
94. I mean, look, we'll be lucky to do this into our 60s.
God gave him a long, long, long life on this earth.
Galvis swings and misses. Freddie Galvis struck out back in the first. It's kind of been feast or famine for Straily. He has struck out 5. And the Phillies have 2, and that on the Reese Hoskins 2-run homer. Galvis gets it back to 3-2. Pulled on the ground. Talise backing up, has it, flips it. Straily's there. And he gets the outs. A 1-2-3 third. Dan Straily's retired 7 straight. Right? Beer Fest at the Clevelander, Marlins Park, Saturday, August 26th. Marlins and Padres at 7:10. You can sample more than 20 different types of domestic and international brews. Tickets start at $35. If you purchase a Beer Fest ticket now at marlins.com/beerfest, you're in. Baseball and beer. And a mason jar of probably strawberry lemonade there. Marlins fans here in Philly, this heat is nothing for Marlin fans, right?
Agreed.
Here's Real Muto. JT in the air to right center. Nick Williams is there to make the catch. Aaron Nola went 1-2-3 in the third. Now he's retired 5 straight. And that brings up Derek Dietrich. The temperatures are supposed to go down over the next 2 days. Today a scorcher. Tomorrow temperatures, they say, in the upper 80s, mid 80s.
That was it 90, 94 today?
Yeah, I mean, the humidity was
way up there,
especially during the morning and midday. Very high. Dietrich cranked one off the wall to lead off the second. Miami's 3rd double of the ball game at that point. Well, moved up on a Talise bouncer and then scored on a Rojas ground ball.
That double got me thinking of the nice job the left-handed hitters have been doing, particularly over the last couple of ball games. Remember, they faced Jacob deGrom on Sunday in New York, and they certainly took care of business against him. 7 for 15. D. Gordon, Yelich, and the troops. Conley had a hit. Talise had a hit as well. So the lefties did a real nice job. And early on in today's game against Nola, another tough righty. 3 for 6, now 3 for 7.
Dietrich strikes out. We have a variety of emails and tweets. Anthony says, I'm an avid birder, and the raptor looks like a merlin to me. A merlin, M-E-R-L-I-N. Peregrine Falcon is the vote from the truck. Anthony is an avid birder. Our folks in the truck says a merlin is a little smaller, like a kestrel.
I'm just going to go with hawk. Call myself the ultimate winner.
Right. I'm with you, but
H-A-W-K, Hawk.
Tomas Tillis is 0 for 1. He's bounced out. And he pulls that one to the right side. Hernandez gets it, underhands. And both pitchers, after giving up 2 early runs, have settled in here in Philly. Compass. And by Hancock, chase down your passion, never halfway. Walt Whitman Bridge. Todd Hollinsworth as a Ute used to come across that bridge.
It's true.
You were the other Utes.
That's right. Back and forth between Cherry Hill and the Vet.
Dan Straily misses out with a changeup. Nick Williams, Reese Hoskins, and Tommy Joseph for the Phillies here in the 4th inning. Emails and tweets, yeah, we're doing it. Doubleheader worth of Email Tuesday. Jim has some email questions. Want to know why are the Marlins wearing black on such a hot day?
Well, my initial response to that would be you have to ask Dan Straily. Usually that's how it goes. On the pitcher, on the game that he pitches, he picks the color. Now, that doesn't always apply to everybody, but that would be my guess. If I knew that question was coming, I would have found out early. But that would be my guess.
Reese Hoskins now. Well, the script in the first, Straily got the first 2 outs, walked Nick Williams, and got a pitch up, and Reese Hoskins hit it out off the top of the wall in center field. Williams has walked again to open up the 4th. Jim also wants to know, what do you and Todd eat in the booth to keep your energy up for 2 games? Right now, Todd has gone very healthy on me. He's got blackberries and blueberries. It's like a Whole Foods market here in the booth.
Right. We had some yogurt parfait earlier, and then some granola bars as well.
Pitch is out. All right, so oftentimes when you're doing a game here in Philly, the table is littered with cheesesteaks and desserts. But here's his blackberries and here's his blueberries. This guy.
We gotta stay healthy up here, buddy.
This guy.
No cheesesteaks.
Until we get between games.
Well, then there's a good chance.
See the Tony Luke sign?
Yeah, I do.
There?
I saved that comment. We were showing that, what, a couple innings ago? I was like, now I know where to go in between games.
So wait a minute. As a kid growing up in these parts, what was your go-to for cheesesteaks? Was it Tony Luke's?
I don't remember. I think I was too young. I know that, I mean, we had them all the time. In fact, in our house, it was a tradition on Sunday night. It was cheesesteak night.
That might be a double play. Gordon bobbles, pitches, got him. Just got rid of it in time to get Williams. But Hoskins arrives at first, and the Marlins will have to settle for just one out.
Well, this one jumps up just a bit and catches D on the heel of the glove. Causing him to bobble just a bit, but gets the out at second base. Not a bad trade-off. Nick Williams fairly quick around the bases.
Jonathan wants to know, for you, does a doubleheader take more out of a player than a day of rest puts back in? And would you like to see more doubleheaders on the schedule?
The days of rest, I really do believe, puts more back in than a doubleheader takes away. The thing that I always struggled with in doubleheaders was the adrenaline, or the lack of adrenaline, that your body produces it at the beginning of a ball game. You get excited. There's a big crowd. You're first at bat. A lot of things happen over and over and over again throughout a season. But every first that you do every day really kind of gets you going and excited for that day, and that's the adrenaline that your body produces, and you kind of thrive on it. But in a game or a doubleheader like today, you do eventually run out. I guess is maybe the right way to say it. You'll get to the second game, and that adrenaline's just not flowing the same way as it would in a natural game, because obviously you're playing a lot more hours, and you're just like, you'll watch guys in the second game, and I can almost guarantee you it's going to look the energy level is going to be a little bit less than you see it here in the first one. It's just human nature.
Joseph fouls it back. A variety of bird experts are now weighing in. Anthony writes back, the truck might be right. The markings don't quite look like a peregrine falcon, though.
Has he not moved since the last time we checked in on him? That's how he looked about.
He has not moved.
Pretty amazing. He obviously likes being on TV.
Well, I think that's part of the gig. Evelyn says, Merlin is right. Kestrels have those facial markings you can see. A peregrine falcon is enormous and majestic. Seeing one brings out an automatic holy bleep. That's a swing and a miss. Now, I thought I was going to have to apologize for the email I just read, but I was able to catch the holy bleep. But unfortunately, we picked up something from Tommy Joseph on his way to the dugout.
Timing was perfect. Just wrap it all up. There you go.
And he did not like the check swing. Turned into strike three. Nick Marley, the first base umpire. Now, for the umpires, too, in doubleheaders, Major League Baseball not only lets the teams add an extra player, a 26th man, as you pointed out, always a pitcher, but there's a fifth umpire here. Whoever's going to work home plate is not working this game. He'll come on and work second base, or work behind the plate in the second game. And the man behind home plate, Mike Everett, will get the second game off. Young-Soo Kim swings through that pitch. That's a swing. The Phillies bench not real pleased right now. Jordan Baker, it's a doubleheader. You get a sense if you get that far, that's going to be a swing. That's not that far.
Yeah, 45%. Yeah, you're getting rung up. So don't even go there. It's not 50-50 right now, right? I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah,
I guess that's the point I was trying to make. Was you look down to third base or first base, you're going to You're going to get called for a strike right now. As a hitter, you need to put that in the back of your mind.
Strike 3 called. Kim doesn't like it, and he turns to the home plate umpire. But that's a strike. Look at it. That's plenty of the plate. It's above the knees. And so once the Phillies see that on the video, I think the complaints may die down. 2-2. See the bands on him, which may indicate that he works around here. There's a possibility that his job is to keep this area clear of pigeons.
He was nodding yes when you asked the question.
If he really wanted to relocate, the San Francisco Bay Area could use one of him in both Oakland and certainly in San Francisco, where the pigeons come in at the end of every game to scoop up whatever is left over. Miguel Rojas here in the 5th against Aaron Nola. Dan Straily and D. Gord. We need to get to the bottom of that. We need to find out if that Falcon has a job.
Rojas, his first time up, a productive RBI ground out. Second inning. Got Dietrich in from third.
I don't know that it's safe for Craig to interview the Falcon,
although I wouldn't put it past him in trying.
but we need to get some background information. Rojas knocked in a run with a ground ball back in the second. 2-1 pitch coming from Nola. And his fastball is up. He has a really interesting release point. And the ball out of his hand just explodes at times in and up to a right-handed bat.
He really kind of gets that front shoulder open, really opens himself up and exposes it, but that's what helps get him that devastating sink that we've talked about.
That one sunk right out of the strike zone. It's a leadoff walk. I mean, Straley's in a bunt situation with Rojas at first. And we go Geicoing for the first time in this doubleheader. Nolan Ryan on this date in Major League history. Third inning strikeout of Ricky Henderson was the 5,000th of his career. And that was all the way back in 1989. Straily squares and takes outside. Now Dan got a hit in the second, just the third in his major league career, when he lined one down the right field line, found chalk, and settled for a single. Straily stabs at it, and it's a ball and a strike.
You see Dan Straily, I mentioned his first time up before he dropped one down the right field line. It wasn't a bunting situation, but you watch how he's got the label up and he actually shows it towards the pitcher. That's a very clever move and certainly one that's been taught to him. Normally, the side of a bat, not the label side, is where obviously the grooves are, the grains are in a bat, and that's where the ball comes off. You see how he's actually showing his name right to Nola. That's the dead spot of the bat. And if you hit a ball off of there, a bunt ball off there, it naturally softens because, again, you're hitting it flat on the flat part of the wood, not the side of the bat where the grain actually is, where the ball would technically come off a little harder. So, see Dan Straily, who has, again, practiced this trait an awful lot this year and had a lot of success bunting. Another thing that he's trying to do right there is deaden it even more. It's kind of like that next level stuff, Rich. You know what I mean? Not everybody does it.
All right, I'll take your next level one step further.
Okay.
So, obviously, you're talking bunting. Now, in terms of hitting, you don't want to hit
on
that
absolutely.
soft part because that's a broken bat waiting to happen.
Right. That's a big no-no. You can get away with this bunting, but you would never attempt this. If you were to hit, the vibrations you'd leave yourself in your hands. Your fingers would be in crumbles.
I have swung a wooden bat before.
Well, I just meant that he's got the label turned.
Yes. Yeah, he did. Mike Everett, the home plate umpire. Straily lobbying for a second opinion. But the way the corners have rung up check swingers today, I don't know that any appeal would have been helpful.
I think it's going to be 100% the rest of the way. Don't you get the feeling that that's where this is going? Like anybody who looks down either line, it's just, you might as well just assume, right?
Yes.
Not even a debate.
John in Bonita challenges you and me to do the Florida Grouper Lottery dance, just like the boys in the commercial on Marlins Live.
He wants a dance off, is that right? Is he crazy? He's got no chance.
Well, what John should have said is, will you do the Florida Grouper Lottery dance and dress as there's sort of a Milli Vanilli type look to their if the Marlins make the postseason. How's that? Here's a 1-0.
Done.
All right, there you go. That was easy.
Dancing's not a problem for me. The outfit I'll have to work on, but I'm sure I can come up with it.
Rojas runs, Gordon swings, and fouls it back. John wants to know, do teams wear the same uniforms for both games of the doubleheader?
Doubtful. Yeah, really doubtful. I don't ever remember doing that in my life, and I'd be surprised. I mean, unless there's a win involved, I mean, I suppose, but here's one thing that maybe everybody at home doesn't know. They've got multiple of the uniform that they're wearing. So if you're asking the question, you know, are they going to wear the black tops again in game 2? Well, that's a possibility, but it's not going to be the exact same black top. Guys will go in and change. In fact, most players today go in and completely change.
Gordon pulls that one foul. Now, as you spend your youth scattered across this great country. Before you hit high school, you were here in this area. Mm-hmm. Did you ever pick out doubleheaders and go to those specifically just to see the two games?
Did a few times. I only had a small period of time where I was really able to kind of go with my buddies or my friends, which enabled me to go a lot more.
Gordon swings and misses, and Nola gets a strikeout.
That breaking ball really starting to work for Nola as he rings up number 6. My ages 13 and 14, which were the years I did a little bit more of that, I definitely remember doing a doubleheader, but getting transportation to the city and being even allowed, mom and dad allowing me to go to the game without mom and dad being along. I only had a couple years of that. So, yes, to answer your question, I did start to do it, but I was only here for those 2 years before I moved away.
All right, here's Stanton now. Giancarlo is 0 for 2. He's bounced out and struck out. He gets a breaking ball, and it's a strike.
Well, Nola, for the most part, stayed away from Stanton. Last at bat, saw nothing but two-seam fastballs away.
Stanton drives out in the gap, left center field. It's going to scoot to the wall. Racing for third is Rojas. Around third, Freddie will send him. And Giancarlo Stanton has driven in the third run of the ball game, and Miami's got a 3-2 lead. Double number 26 for Stanton, RBI number 98.
Nola decides to go back-to-back breaking balls versus Stanton this third time up. Stanton sits on the second one. Why not? Just saw one. Here's another. Actually goes down and does a fantastic job of extending into the low zone and driving one into left center field. Williams playing him straight up, so he had a long way to go to cut this off at the wall. You see Rojas hustling around third base. High throw eliminates any play at the plate. RBI number 98 on the season for Stanton.
Speaking of the Phillies of yesteryear and Stanton, this is a good email from Rob. He's hoping that, Todd, you can recognize and review how Mike Schmidt changed his career by closing his batting stance.
He did. It's actually a great question. As soon as you started down that path, I started to think about that. I used to practice that in my backyard, although I didn't execute it nearly the same way.
I don't know if Giancarlo Stanton and Mike Schmidt have met before, but that's a good question. Now, Schmidt does weekend games here on Phillies television. This obviously not a weekend.
Schmitty, Michael Jack Schmidt, definitely made that adjustment throughout his career. Closed off the stance. Of course, he stood a little bit taller. He had a more of a, feels like in my memory banks, more of an upright swing. But again, a swing that kind of got down and up. Very good home run type swing. Stanton, incredibly athletic. You see it in his approach. But both swings closed.
Miami's got 4 doubles in this game and now a 3-2 lead. Yelich drove in a run with a double in the first. Stanton's out there with 2 outs. And Yelich is going to get a 2-1 pitch here. The 76th of the day for Aaron Nola. To right. Kim is there, and he makes the catch. 3-2 Miami, halfway through our first game. Stanton. Now, Rob had the email about Stanton and Schmidt and closing off their stance. A little comparison here.
Yeah, you see that. And what I meant by that, you see how Schmidt, his feet were not nearly as far apart as Giancarlo's are. So it was a little bit of a different approach, but yet similar in idea. And I love to see it because Schmidt was a home run hitter as well.
Like how Franco fouls it back. Cameron Rupp, Aaron Nola scheduled here, bottom 5. Dan Straily threw a lot of pitches early, but over the second, third, and fourth, pitch count is kind of stabilized, and he struck out 7.
Rich has only given up the 1 hit.
Talise. That's when he looks like a catcher, right? When he's, I mean, you almost expect him to pull off his hat and throw that, pull off the glasses and throw that like he would a mask.
Well, I'm just happy to see him enjoying his time over at first base and securing those catches. I mean, again, a lot of times you don't get to see the work in progress, right? We assume they're playing in big leagues. They got a big league uniform on and a big league position. They're going to play like stars, right? They're not going to make the mistakes that we see, well, maybe the younger kids or even the minor leaguers make. When you have a guy who's a work in progress like Talise, you actually see the joy in his face as he makes plays.
That one fouled out of play. Brian wants to know, aside from home plate, do the other umps rotate positions or do they stay put for both games? I believe the first base umpire goes to third, second goes to first, third goes to second. And you swap a fresh umpire in to work home plate. That one to left, it's hit deep, and this ball game, just like that, is tied. Cameron Rupp.
Now, Rich, I told you before the game there might be a little bit of a sneak attack here at the bottom of this lineup. Cameron Rupp has been swinging the bat so well, hiding in the 8 spot, lurking there. Coming into today's ball game, slugging .642 over his last 20 games, 7 doubles and 6 home runs. Well, not fooled there. Pitch at the waist, easy swing. He was even out in front of that just a little bit, and still plenty of distance to left.
So the long ball has bitten Dan Straily twice here. Reese Hoskins, a 2-run homer in the first. Cameron Rupp, a solo shot here in the 5th. And a 3-3 ball game. Emails and tweets on a doubleheader Tuesday from Philly. Nola fouls it back. We've been following the Falcon who's been flying in and around the ballpark. Anthony, after getting that last look, believes it's a Saker Falcon, S-A-K-E-R. I apologize to all Falconers if I'm not pronouncing that first, but S-A-K-E-R Falcon. It's his final answer.
Get the ballpark pass and receive mobile access to every remaining regular season home game for only $29.99 per month. That's right. Join us for great matchups, giveaways, fireworks, and more during the final months of the season for less than $3 per game. For more information, download the MLB.com ballpark app or visit Marlins.com/pass today. Some restrictions do apply. Dan Straily, 15 home runs on the road this season. The 22 he's allowed, so it has been an issue.
Cesar Hernandez, leadoff man, is bounced out, struck out. John wants to know, is that strike 3? It is, John. That's strike 3. Emails and tweets on a doubleheader Tuesday. 3-3 ball game. Hey, Jess, the green guy misses you. The Phillie Phanatic finally arrives in the 6th inning, and it was odd because as we started this ball game, there was something missing. I know it was a 4 o'clock start. Ozuna rifles one into center field. That's a hit. But the atmosphere wasn't great. And all of a sudden now, I figured it out. The Phanatic was not here.
Oh, he is. There he is. Maybe he's got a day job.
No, I think Philly is a union town, and I think the mascots union does not allow for a full doubleheader. So he arrives here in the 6th inning.
All right. Nice swing of the bat from Marcell Ozuna to start this inning off. Ringing single into center field.
But he does get full dental. For a Phanatic, I'm not sure how important that is. But Marcell Ozuna aboard. Aaron Nola from the stretch. Here's Real Muto. And he takes a strike. We've got a tweet from John Baker, not the former Marlin, former Cub, but our friend John Baker at Florida State. And he wants to know from a player's perspective, Todd Hollinsworth, what's better, a straight doubleheader or a day-nighter?
Oh, straight, easily.
On the ground to short, Galvis backhands Hernandez to first in time. So let's first explain the difference between a day-nighter and a straight doubleheader. This is a straight doubleheader, 4 o'clock start. Second game starts 20-25 minutes after the first. Day-night is a 1 o'clock start. Clear the stadium. It's 2 admissions. Open the ballpark at 5:30 for the second game.
Yeah, and the one that you just described is an acceleration, a deceleration, then an acceleration once again. And the second time, it's very difficult to do. Marlins taking a look at this. The other one, you just kind of keep with the flow. You start through it. The day starts at 4 o'clock today. There'll be a short pause for a uniform change in between games, and we'll crank it back up for game number 2, and they'll get right back after it. For the players, that's exactly, I'll speak for every player in the Marlins dugout right now. The doubleheader they have today is the one they want. They do not want to do the split. They don't want to be here any longer than they need to be, just sitting around waiting.
Good audio there on Mike Everett, the home plate umpire. Dietrich doubled in the second, struck out in the 4th. Brad Ziegler today talked about doubleheaders and said he'd like to actually see some regularly scheduled doubleheaders. This is the result of a rainout in April. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you would get a few more off days. Players don't have issue with that. Certainly would have to, make sure that the extra roster spots in play, especially if you're doing that. I really don't have an issue with it. And I don't think the players do either. Now, I do know this, generally speaking, ownership might have some issues with it. So, that's one of the things that could essentially be leveraged in a over in a CBA, over something. If ownership was looking for something, I'd say, well, listen, we want a few more double headers, things of that nature. Those things can be discussed and will be discussed. Of course, everything's got a price.
Dietrich fouls it off, counts 2-2.
In fact, I believe this weekend coming up is something that the players specifically asked for. The
Players Weekend.
Players Weekend, right. Isn't that, I believe that was part of the new CBA, and that was something that was their idea.
And what Todd's referring to is this weekend, the Marlins will be playing the San Diego Padres in a cross baseball. The players will be wearing kind of alternate jerseys that they've put their stamp on. They're able to put their nicknames on the back, charities that they support on their sleeve, as well as a name or two of somebody that inspired them or helped them in their life, whether it's baseball or just life. Two. Dietrich fouls it off. 3-3 ball game. All of the Philly runs have come on homers. Marlins have not hit any homers, but they've hit a bunch of doubles, 4 of them. Dietrich swings and misses, and Nola with a sharp breaking ball gets through the 6th. Unlimited baseball break. All right, kids, get ready. Adrian Beltre, 3-run homer. Slowed down the Angels. Texas a 5-3 win. Since his 3,000th hit, he's still going strong. Steven Matz will undergo nerve surgery in his left elbow. Clayton Kershaw in a sim game yesterday went 4 innings and probably struck out 10. 15-2 with a 2.04 ERA is Clayton Kershaw. He's been out since late July. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Hi, Craig.
Well, very entertaining up here. You know, maybe not the Phillies too much this year, but this Falcon is catching everybody's attention. Are you watching the Falcon as much as the game?
Sure.
Now, what observations do you guys have watching the Falcon?
He hasn't moved the whole game. The whole game he's not moved a bit.
Would you say the Falcon's a baseball fan?
I would say so.
Because although he turns his back kind of
He's
rudely.
a Phillies fan.
He's a Phillies fan.
Yeah.
All right, well, now, not everybody is up to date on why the Falcon is here, guys. And we do is it confirmed a Falcon, Rich? Do we have that?
I think there's a consensus that it is from the Falcon family.
All right. Now these guys were chatting. What were your thoughts on the bird at the game?
My thoughts is that the Phillies-Marlins game isn't exactly the place I'd go if I was a Falcon. I'd fly to maybe a better game, but, you know, good for him. I appreciate the fandom. It's a doubleheader. He wanted to get things.
Doubleheader!
It's been sitting there the whole game. Little doesn't know it's a doubleheader, so it's got to wait out 8 innings of it.
You know, it's been that kind of year, though, because he does have his back to the Phillies.
Yeah, 45 and 77 baseball isn't exactly that intriguing.
All right. All right. Anybody know what exactly kind of Falcon that is?
Peregrine Falcon.
They're saying Peregrine also up here, Rich.
I'm curious, though, if he's here for a reason, if he does a job, if he's here to scare away pigeons.
Well, I can tell you one thing. One of the ushers told me there's normally, seriously, some pigeons over here, sparrows, starlings. And he said since the Falcon has been here, no sight of the lower element in the bird population.
Yes. Well, that leads me to believe that, yeah, he's got a job to do, and he's doing it.
Yes.
We will check between games with the Phillies organization and find out I don't suppose I could look in the media guide and look under the staff and find the Falcon in there. Straily with a really nice changeup there, and the count's 2 balls and 2 strikes. 3-3 ball game here, bottom 6. There is 1 out. This is the 3rd time through for Nick Williams. Straily has walked him a couple times. It's a sharp ground ball D. Gordon's way. And there's a couple outs here in the 6th.
Don Mattingly certainly trusting Straily here in the 6th inning. You see his pitch count up over 100. Does have some bullpen activity. Zawa up. And this is the part of the lineup that Straily has struggled a little bit. Remember, Williams obviously just grounded out right there, had a couple of walks. Hoskins got him for a 2-run homer back in the 1st inning. Looks like Dan Straley's going to get after him here, even at 104 pitches.
And that's a strike to Reese Hoskins, who hit a 2-run homer to straightaway center back in the 1st. New face, new name in the big leagues. Can't check his swing. And a young guy, a 24-year-old, 5th-round pick, college player at a school that's not known for producing major league players, Sacramento State. Swing and a miss. Straily gets a strikeout. Dan finishes the 6th. Dan Straily, Aaron Nola dueling here in a 3-3 game. Dan Straily, Aaron Nola, and a Falcon have been dueling here. Now our camera person is getting a lot closer to the bird than Craig did. The Phillies Falcon, I guess we could call it. Here's Tomas Talis as Aaron Nola ventures into the 7th. Right now he's got the bottom 3rd of the order. Talis, Rojas, and then probably, that's a brave man. Way to go, Matt.
Craig, see that?
No, he's off to his next adventure. Marlins will probably pinch hit for Straily, who's due up 3rd here in the 7th.
Solid recovery for Straily after a 33-pitch 1st inning. Put up a 2-run home run. 74 pitches the rest of the way over the next 5 innings. Nola has been as advertised as well, working now into the 7th inning. He mentioned this a little earlier in the ball game. Has gone 7+. 7 of his last 10 starts. He's been going long into ball games too.
Straily had 10 strikeouts. Nola's got 7. And the pitch misses in.
All 7 of those strikeouts have come on his breaking ball. Very, very good. Been using the 2-seamer to get ahead. 4-seamer as well. Really setting up the big breaking ball, and it's been working for him. Marlins have been chasing.
And the curious thing about Straley's start, he's allowed just 2 hits, and they've both been home runs. Nice take by Talise. Counts full at 3-2. 2 walks with the 10 strikeouts for Straily. 1 walk with the 7 strikeouts for Nola. It's the second time Straily has struck out 10 Phillies. Fastball is in. And Talise trots on down to first.
A very nice at bat for Talise. Down in the count, laid off a couple of tough breaking balls from Nola. A fastball underneath those hands. Worked the leadoff walk here in the 7th. See if the Marlins can't turn that into a run.
Ichiro is on deck. Now the Phillies bullpen is starting for the first time to get up and loosen up. Nola's reached 93 pitches. Rojas has had a role in a couple of rallies. He knocked in a run with a ground ball out in the 2nd. Walked and scored in the 5th. And he lines one into right field. That's a hit. Talise to 2nd. Up with the ball is Kim. And Miami's got runners 1st and 2nd. And you got nobody out, and here's Ichiro.
3 consecutive productive at bats from Rojas in the 8-hole. 2-seam fastball down the middle of the plate, lines it the other way. And things going for the Marlins. Top of the 7th inning. Very nice swing of the bat.
So, what do you do with Ichiro? What are the options here?
Well, you can have Ichiro bunt, sacrifice bunt, try to move the guys up 2nd and 3rd. Of course, you have to read what they're doing. Certainly capable of putting the ball in play, and you trust him to do that. I think in this instance, you might actually ask Ichiro to put the bunt down. Read the way the Phillies choose to play it, defend it, and trust that he'll get the job done.
If he swings away, the danger is Ichiro's a ground ball hitter, and the Phillies' middle infield's really good. Galvis and Hernandez are slick. And so that's the danger, is that double play. Galvis has been having a really nice run defensively at short. Ichiro squares, pulls back, and it's ball 1.
You see Ichiro's style of bunting, almost like he's bunting for a base hit. Some like to do that. Will apply that technique even to a sacrifice situation. They're just more comfortable doing it, not showing it too early. You'll see the same from Ichiro again.
Well, Nola's missed on the first 2. Does count change a manager's mind?
Well, it certainly can, and I think in this situation it probably does. Doesn't change the job that needs to be done, as this lineup's going to turn over. G. Gordon and Giancarlo Stanton coming up next.
Talise does not have a big lead at 2nd. Ichiro swings and pulls it foul. So the reins were off there. They gave him a shot at 2-0. Now it's back to 2-1. Phillies have a lefty and a righty getting ready. As Todd pointed out, Gordon is next, then Stanton, then Yelich. Talise, the runner at 2nd. Rojas, the runner at 1st. And Nola seems to be either tiring or struggling to recapture the command he's had for most of the day. He walked Talise, Rojas singled.
I believe it's the fact that Ichiro's not bunting that's got Nola thinking an awful lot about his pitches.
Ichiro drills it. Right field and deep. Back goes Kim. It is gone. A 3-run shot. The 43-year-old goes deep. Ichiro gives Miami a 6-3 lead.
Well, between the meeting, the bunt attempt early or lack of, to a 3-1 count, Ichiro earns himself a 3-1 fastball, and he doesn't miss it. Great at bat, great timing, great swing. Huge hit for the Marlins.
A 3-run pinch hit homer by the future Hall of Famer.
Pinch hit will tie him with Ross Glode, 21. 21 pinch hits this season for Ichiro. None bigger than that one.
That is 432 feet for Ichiro.
It's no doubter territory.
No kidding. Now Gordon shortening to bunt. Now your point, sometimes a hitter psychologically can get messed up when a manager asks him to bunt, then not bunt. But your point is that may have played with Nola's mind.
Well, it really did. I think Nola was really trying hard to not allow Ichiro to execute, whether it was the ground ball to the right side. Gordon out 4-3. Whether it was merely acknowledging that Ichiro squared around on the first pitch and put it in the back of Nola's mind, but who didn't think he was aiming just a little bit right there throughout the at-bat? So he was trying to throw the perfect pitch to try to get Ichiro out and not allow him to move the runners up. Well, then it boxes him into a corner. Now you're up there at 3-1. You got runners at first and second. Okay, I'll just throw him a two-seam fastball and see what he does with it. Well, 432 feet later, the Marlins have a 6-3 lead.
And so Nola is still in there. There's one out. Stanton is up. He has an RBI double in 3 trips. And of course, Dan Straily now in line for the win. Little fist bump to Ichiro. And I love how Ichiro, yeah, he goes through the line, he gets some fist bumps and some pats on the back, but he puts the glasses on, he puts his bat in the spot where it stays the whole game, and he sits back up on the bench like it was nothing.
Well, you telling me it's a little old school?
No, it's like, hey, this is what I do. Stand to right. That's got a chance. That is gone. Number 46 for Giancarlo. Opposite fields. And Miami's lead is now 7-3.
That is where the closed stance pays its dividends against a guy like Nola, who has owned the outside part of the plate against Stanton. I'm not talking about the curveball that he lined into the left center field gap. I'm talking about the two-seamers that were away. Stays on it, drives it down the right field line for number 46. How about it?
Giancarlo Stanton stays hot here in Philly. And that's the end of the line for Aaron Nola. A 3-run pinch hit homer by Ichiro, a solo shot by Giancarlo, and Miami all of a sudden has a 7-3 lead. A Florida lottery call to the bullpen. 46. Guess who hit the longer one? Ichiro. Call to the bullpen brought to you by the Florida Lottery. Get a $6 value for $5 when you ask for the grouper from the Florida Lottery. With so many life-changing prizes, get your group ready. The Florida Lottery is your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play, and play responsibly. Ichiro is just back being cool Ichiro, while Stanton is still getting pats on the back and congratulations. Both of those home runs big. Ichiro's, of course, the 3-run shot. And Straily is up to congratulate Stanton as well. Here's Yelich now. And out of the Phillies bullpen. Jason Theoren. Liner, base hit, left field. Yelich with his second of the ball game. Jason Terrian. I apologize for missing the last name there. Jason Terrian is the right-hander for the Phillies.
That's only the second hit over his last 6 innings he's allowed to Christian Yelich right there. Approach from Yelich today. A couple of base hits the other way.
Well, Aaron Nola's final line looks a lot different than you thought it would. He got on a really nice run through the middle innings. Ozuna pops one foul. Nola ends up with 6 1/3, 9 hits, 7 runs, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts.
It's back-to-back below par starts for Nola. Surprising, but let's give credit where credit is due. How about this Marlins offensive attack? They have showed up ready to hit today. It's a doubleheader. Remember, if they find a way to win the first game and obviously win game 2 as well, they'll be back to 500, Rich.
And I liked your point about making a statement and really going after these Phillies, because including this ball game, there are 40 games left in the season, 11 of them against the Phils.
Yeah.
And while you may say, well, look, that's great, the Phillies have a bad record, they're having an off season. Still, the Marlins have not played well in this ballpark of late. And as you know, sometimes when you need a win, playing against a team that has nothing to lose doesn't go as planned.
Well, I know we're not the only ones that also feel that going back to the, well, we'll call it the place of the crime, if you will. That 4-19 run that the Marlins went on started here at the end of April. So the 60 and 62, it's almost like, okay, we've been climbing up, climbing up the hill all season long to get back to 500.
Ozuna, a laser, gone. 2-run shot. My goodness, what a barrage. 3 homers in the inning. Ozuna hits his 28th, and Miami's lead bursts out to 9-3.
My goodness. 2.5 seconds, 2 seconds to get out of here? Holy cow. Couple of bullets off the bat of Yelich and Ozuna. How about it? My goodness, is this a rocket? Fans are ducking for cover in the front row. Get out of the way.
Bouncer left side. Franco cuts it off and throws out Real Muto. That's the second out.
All right, we'll give the farthest to Ichiro this inning, but we're going to definitely give the hardest to Ozuna right there. So Stanton in his 46th season, he's in a distant third right now.
377 feet off the bat, 114 on the exit speed, and you're right. Ichiro gets the longest. His homer 86 feet longer than Stanton's. Ozuna second longest, 377. And then Stanton at 346. And of course, Stanton's, though, was hit opposite field to the right side. 40 feet is the maximum height.
Well, listen, I'm thrilled that the people out in the left field bleachers were not only paying attention to the ball game, they saw it coming, but I'd be willing to bet they heard it coming too. 114 miles an hour, it's got a little hum to it.
That might be the next thing they measure here, not, launch angle, exit velocity, distance, decibel level off the bat. Dietrich takes outside.
We were in New York. You could hear it coming out of the starters' hands. They had those great mics around the field. It was, you could hear Jacob deGrom 95, 96. You could hear it coming off the fingertips.
Two-hopper for Hernandez. What an inning for the Fish. A 3-run pinch hit homer by 43-year-old Ichiro. An opposite field shot, his 46th by Giancarlo. And then Ozuna answered. This was the longest. A 3-run shot. This was number 46. And Ozuna's the loudest and the hardest hit. Add them up. It's a 6-run inning. It's 9-3. Hall of Famer on the bench. All contribute to a 6-run 7th, 3 homers, Ozuna, Stanton, and Ichiro. And Miami has cracked this game open. It's 9-3. And of course, today we honor and we mourn the passing of legendary broadcaster Felo Ramirez, the Hall of Famer. The Marlins have a jersey with Felo's name and his number, 94. He passed away this morning, 94 years old, and as full of life as you can get in 94 years, man. So many things that he experienced as a broadcaster, from World Series to All-Star games to incredible moments, to being the voice of the Marlins from the club's inception, to Ali prize fights, to entertaining us on the plane with his jokes and his sometimes magic tricks. Junichi Tadawa is in. Tommy Joseph is up. And Joseph hits that ball hard.
Shock.
2 strikeouts for Joseph. He's on an 0 for 18 bender right now.
Let me say this about Felo. He didn't spend a tremendous amount of time around him, but every time I was around him, there was a smile on his face, and seeing all the pictures that we've been putting up today and showcasing his life.
Joseph gets into that one. Ozuna to his left, and he has it for a moment. It's out of his glove, off the wall. Joseph arrives at second base. That ball was really stung.
Marcel does a nice job of getting over, not able to come up with the catch as it hits off the top of his glove. This ball rocketed out to left center field. Look at the concentration and the extension.
I would guess a double.
I think you're right.
And it is. It's only the third hit for the Phillies in the ball game. Bottom 7 here. Now, as quickly as the Marlins racked up 6 runs, remember, it's a warm day in Philly. And this ballpark can do some crazy things to pitchers' ERAs. Kim lines one center field. Yelich picks it up. And Junichi Tazawa has given up 2 hard-hit base hits. Jessica Blaylock, Preston Wilson in the studio tomorrow. Back to just 1 game a day. South Florida Honda dealers bring you Marlins Live. Justin Nicolino, Mark Leiter Jr. That's your pitching matchup tomorrow night. We'll have preview here from Philadelphia as well. And again, we invite you to stick around between games for Marlins Live. We will have that Felo tribute, which has so many really cool photos and video and shots of Felo's career. That's coming up after this ball game and before game 2. You can also find that video on Twitter. At Fox Marlins is the site, and that's been posted from this afternoon. Marlins need Junichi Tazawa to get some outs here.
Well, he needs to be real careful. Cal Franco has had a very, very tough season. 209 with runners in scoring position, has struggled offensively of late, but he has been very good late in ball games, Rich. This is one of the last guys you want to face.
Franco lines at center field. Yelich makes the catch. That's another hard hit ball off of Tazawa. It's an out, a sacrifice fly, and it's 9-4.
All right, be here at Marlins Park on Friday, August 25th to see the Fish take on the Friars, and the first 7,500 fans will receive a JT Realmuto bobblehead courtesy of SeaWorld. All right, get here early, catch one before they're gone. Tickets, more, visit marlins.com/tickets.
Rob from Boca wants to know, what do you guys think of Stanton for MVP?
Love it.
If the Marlins make a run for the wild card and he continues to be hot, in Rob's mind, the award should go to him.
Well, I do certainly appreciate the acknowledgement that typically how those awards go is that it's got to be somebody who is playing on a contender and a team that's winning that will help his cause. If the Marlins continue to play well and they kind of sneak up on everybody's radar, everybody around the nation is going to wonder, well, why and how? And then arrows start to point at Giancarlo Stanton a little bit more. I believe personally he's already in the conversation. It should be in the conversation already, because I don't look at the season and think, okay, everything's conditional on the team being in first place. I will admit this, he's got some stiff competition. Guys like Paul Goldschmidt are having great years. Nolan Arenado, who the Marlins just saw with the Rockies, is having a fantastic season as well. There's some competition there, and arguments can be made in everybody's direction, but Stanton's name should be with those guys anyway.
I think one of the things that will help Stanton is the type of year he's having. Yes, he's hitting home runs, but when you look aside from that, slugging percentage, his chase rate is down, his strikeout rate is down, his walk rate is up. We've talked about it all season. In watching him for his entire career, to me, he's much more of a hitter than a slugger this year than he's ever been in any year in his career.
Well, I don't know if there's been a better game that we could use than today's first game here in Philly as a guide to understanding what Stanton has accomplished this year and the adjustments he's making throughout a ball game. Think back to the second at bat, he was essentially owned on the two-seam fastball. That's what he ends up hitting out for a home run down the right field line. Made the adjustment on the breaking ball. You're seeing that. He talked about the progression from pitch to at pitch and at bat to at bat. He's doing that now.
He's made the Florida in-game jackpot his own safe haven during telecasts. We're always popping up his home runs, his RBIs. He leads the National League in slugging percentage, and he'll add to that in this ball game, certainly with a double and a homer. Cameron Rupp homered his last time up. That was against Dan Straily. This is Junichi Tazawa. And the Phillies have barreled up 3 straight here in the 7th. A double, a single, and a loud sacrifice fly.
Rupp, a loud home run his last time up in the 5th.
Now the Marlins have added an extra arm, as every team gets to do when they play a doubleheader. We noted that earlier, that Severino Gonzalez is in Miami's bullpen. If you're Don Mattingly, though, you want to be as efficient as possible here in Game 1. Harlan Garcia has come off the disabled list. He is active for this game. Javi Guerra has been designated for assignment. 2-2. There is Dustin McGowan.
Zawa has been up with his last few pitches. Would love to get that ball down, maybe a ground ball. Rupp, double play candidate.
Infield hoping for a ground ball. Tazawa with a 2-2 coming. And a long at bat continues from Cameron Rupp. Ty Kelly is on deck. Nine pitches in the at bat. Phillies have a run here in the 7th. Rupp just won't go away. And Tazawa misses in.
Rupp, strikeout candidate as well. Let's see if the Phillies try to put Kim in motion. Not.
High fastball foul back. Phanatic arrived in the 6th inning. He was absent for the first 6 innings. There were no pregame hijinks. Nobody stole the keys to his Phanatic mobile. This has turned into a 29-minute at bat.
It has.
It feels like for Rupp.
Trying to bear down with 2 strikes. Tozawa trying to come up with the right formula.
12th pitch coming. Outside corner, he got him. Rupp doesn't like it. Oh, wow, look at that. The yellow ball is the last pitch, and it's right up on the corner of the plate.
That's what you call a borderline strike. This one goes Tozawa's way. 2-seam fastball. Has not been trusting the splitty nearly as much of late. Able to pick up a huge out.
Ty Kelly now will pinch hit for the pitcher spot with 2 outs in the 7th.
2 for his last 2 as a pinch hitter.
And all of his pinch hits this year have been for extra bases. And the biggest one was in San Francisco this weekend, an area where he played his college ball. Kelly had a pinch hit grand slam. The first by a Philly since the infamous Hector Luna back in 2012. Kelly has been with the Mets, with the Blue Jays, and now the Phillies this year. Pulls one to first. Talise is there, and he steps on the bag. Inning over. Tozawa outlasts the Phils in the 7th. Gives up a run. And Miami's still up 9-4. Having a discussion right now with Mike Everett. I would guess it was about the called 3rd strike. I'm sure Rupp probably went in, looked at the video, looked at the box, and saw it right on the border. Ricardo Pinto is in for the Phillies.
Well, home runs and walks have been his issue.
Talise goes out to the first pitch, launches it behind second. Galvis is there, and he makes the catch. Toyota brings you an inside look, and it's not about the Falcon, it's about the doubleheader. At Philly, the Phillies have swept 4 of 7. This is Marlins Phillies doubleheader lore. Overall, the Phillies have swept 5 of 12. There have been 4 splits. Since 2010, 48.6% of doubleheaders are split, which means that 51.4 are sweeps. And the Falcon, we're still trying to identify exactly what kind.
Well, he's looking over his left shoulder now, not his right.
Yeah, well, he's looking to make sure there's no pigeons in here. We've had a few injury update questions. We are doing emails and tweets on this first and second game of a Tuesday doubleheader. Justin Bour has been a popular topic. Let me get to the question. There's a strike. And Emilio wants to know what's the lowdown on Justin Bour. When is he back in the lineup? Craig, you've got more?
Yeah, the good news, he actually today he was starting baseball activities. Throwing, it's light, of course, guys, back in Miami, but it's a good sign. And Don Mattingly was talking about his resurging team today, saying he'd love to get Bour back. But he did say this too, guys. There's going to be no games for him to be able to rehab in. It's already late August by the time he's ready. He said it's not easy to do that. You really have 5 weeks to do it. And then where do you get him revved up? And sometimes you put a guy in like that, play at first, he's out, and he's not doing any better than what you had. So they're kind of crossing their fingers on it. Get him back, and they hope, in the latter half of September. And can he bring it back up to speed? If everything goes well, then what an addition that would be for the Fish.
Yeah, Craig, it's a great point, and that's a trouble spot for a lot of major league teams when they have an injured player in August or someone that's due back in early September or middle September, as Tyler Moore gets this pinch hit. The progress is for a injury of substantial time is to let that player play rehab games in the minor leagues to get up to speed, and that way you can control how you use the player. Let him DH for a few innings. Next day bring him back, let him play 3 or 4 games in the field. You can't do that at the major league level. The minor leagues stopped playing regular season games early in September. Instructional league is still going, but that's not always to the level that you'd like.
That's where the reps probably are, and if that's what he feels like he needs in order to prepare, which is very real possibility. He's missed an extended period of time, but a lot of times you can use instructional league late in a season to send a few guys back just to get those repetitions, to get back out on the field and compete. I think getting Bour back would be a huge, huge boost. There's just really no tinkering that you can do, as far as looking for help outside the organization, trying to find something that can help you along the way. I'll tell you right now, if you can bring Bour back and lengthen the lineup out a little bit,
Moore pulls that one foul. And of course the Marlins are doing this without Justin Bour at first, and on the other side of the diamond they're doing it without Martin Prado at third base, and they've had a rotation that's just been decimated by injuries and ineffectiveness, quite honestly. Edinson Volquez out, Tommy John surgery. Wei Chen still out with elbow issues. Remember, Tom Kohler was originally in that starting rotation. Kohler spent a good part of the year in the minor leagues and was recently traded to the Toronto Blue Jays. Pinto, not related to the former Marlin left-handed reliever Reniel Pinto. Is 3-2 on Tyler Moore. Tyler Moore, left field, off the wall. And it dies right there on the warning track. And Moore has himself a double.
Real nice at bat by Tyler Moore right there. Saw a bunch of pitches, Stayed on, a couple pitches the other way. He fouled off. Front foot down early. Good extension. Drives it to left center field. Definitely needed that. That's got to feel good.
I'll tell you what, it also feels good to Don Mattingly because there's a likelihood that Moore gets the start in Game 2. And what better way for a manager to write your name in the lineup when he sees you in the 8th take that ball off the wall with a great at bat. And so
it's win-win all the way around. Not only did he hit it hard, that certainly would have satisfied Don Mattingly, but for Tyler Moore, he gets the result. Double off the wall.
A.J. Ellis is going to be in the ball game in Game 2. He's down at the batting cage talking to Tim Wallach and to Don Mattingly about the lineup. So Moore was a possibility. Ellis was assured. That one fouled back out of play. Craig, any other nuances to Game 2?
Yeah, well, I did talk to him, and he was Don Mattingly, guys. Would he use Real Muto at first? And he said, well, let's take a look. But I think you're right, Rich. It makes sense. You got Moore getting a hit here. You win Game 1, hopefully, and you want Real Muto to catch the next 2. Probably. Got an afternoon game Thursday. So this, to me, would seem like a spot you might give JT. Was he 0 for 4 today? Give him a day off in Game 2, or not a half a day, if you will. And but we'll see. Don did not lock into that, but you're right. AJ will catch the game.
And the other variables there too could be Mike Aviles, and the word was Aviles probably will play, but we're not sure where yet. We want to see. They want to see the first game, see what happens, see if somebody gets hot, and then go from there. Gordon strikes out. Bottom 8 in Philly, 9-4. Hey, there's Rocky. Bottom of the 8th in Philly.
MLB.tv every night, every device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live. Plus, get free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Tyler Moore's going to stay in the ball game at first base. Mr. McGowan into the ball game. The mound. Outstanding season. You see those 61 2/3 innings. Boy, he has gotten a lot of work. It's been a lot of good work. 3.21 ERA. Be his 50th ball game.
He's got the top of the order for the Phillies. Cesar Hernandez, Freddie Galvis, and Nick Williams. This is the only game going in Major League Baseball. Everything else is a night game tonight, full schedule tonight. Marlins and Phillies here for 2. And then a night game tomorrow and a day game on Thursday. The San Diego Padres arrive at Marlins Park on Friday. McGowan taking over for Tazawa. If you're just getting back from work, settling down for dinner from a busy day and evening, the Marlins tonight have flexed their muscles big time. It started with doubles, just an outpouring of doubles. And in the 7th inning, the Marlins popped 3 home runs. That one is drilled right center field and deep and gone. Hernandez homers.
Certainly does feel like the ball is jumping today.
That's the 3rd homer for the Phillies.
Yeah. Ball jumping out of the yard. 14 runs, 6 home runs. The Phillies, the Marlins combined. This is Hernandez, career high home run, number 8. Just over the fence.
So Hernandez homers. Now you got Freddie Galvis, Nick Williams, and Reese Hoskins. Hoskins hit a 2-run homer in the 1st. Cameron Rupp a solo shot in the 5th. And now Hernandez here in the 8th. And the Marlins' path to 9 runs was paved with a double by Gordon, a double by Yelich, a double by Dietrich, an RBI double by Stanton. And then the gun show started in the 7th. Ichiro, a pinch hit 3-run homer, 432 feet to right center. Giancarlo, his 46th, a solo shot opposite field to right. And then Marcell Ozuna, a lightning bolt to left, and a 2-run homer. And that was the Marlins' 6-run 7th. 1-2 to Galvis, and he steps out. Stanton's home run continues the incredible list of numbers. It's his 13th homer in August, which is a new Marlins record for any month. And it's the 22nd of August. It shows you how smoking hot he's been. As well, that's 13 homers in his last 17 games, 8 homers in his last 11 games. Galvis sends that one into the seats. Count stays 1-2. Second game, about 25 minutes after the first. We will have Marlins live between games, and again, we will have that tribute to Felo Ramirez. We had it before the game. We'll have it between games as well. Right back to McGowan. Flip to Moore. Gets the out. Galvis kept the bat with him. El Dorado invites you to settle in for Game 2. Jose Urena has been outstanding for Miami. And Nick Pivetta beat the Marlins earlier this year. He's not had the best of seasons, but he certainly had a great night against the Fish. And that's Game 2. That's coming up about 25 minutes after Game 1 of this doubleheader. Nick Williams smells the bat. Tries to smell that burned wood.
A couple of walks in this ball game. One led to the Hoskins at bat, which was a home run in the first. "33 games since the All-Star break, 845 OPS. See why Nick Williams is now in the 3 spot in the Phillies lineup. He has been doing his job and doing it well. He's handled lefties, sit for some power.
Well, the Phillies certainly have some interesting pieces. Aaron Altair was having a very nice year before his injury. You've got Williams, Odubel Herrera, Galvis, Hernandez. Franco has had good power, but has struggled in other areas offensively. The challenge for the Phils is they're in the almost year 3 of this total rebuild here, and is to find out if those pieces can play every day, and the youngsters that are still down in the minor leagues, they might get a look at a few others in September and go from there. Swing and a miss. McGowan buries a breaking ball. Real Muto fires the first, and a strikeout is out number 2 here in the 8th inning.
The home run to Hernandez, McGowan has really settled down against Galvis and Williams. Hoskins to deal with here. This young man has showed some power, particularly over his last 12 games. 6 home runs. Home run first inning today. The top of the wall in center field. Bounced out.
James has this email. Why does the monkey not travel to road games? He would like to see Ichiro get pied.
It's not a question for me to answer.
Well, I turn to you
Don't
for.
look to me. Give me the hard ones.
I turn to you for analysis on everything.
Analysis on the monkey.
Whether it's between the lines.
Why
or
are we showing Rojas right now? I have no idea.
Just happenstance.
Right, mere coincidence.
Dietrich streaks across, gets the out. Phillies get another run on a homer. Marlins still up, headed to the 9th. By Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By the all-new Jeep Compass. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. Hurry into the Summerbration sales event today. Night falling in Philly. 9th inning has arrived. First game of a doubleheader. Can you run up those steps, my friend?
Could.
All right.
My best Rocky impression, is that what you're getting at?
I'd rather fly. I think the Falcon is looking around for any pigeons that might be coming in for a post-game snack. That's his job. That's what he does. Here is Giancarlo Stanton. Now Stanton was 0 for 2 his first couple at bats against Aaron Nola. He took a breaking ball and drilled it in the gap in left center for an RBI double in the 5th. And the last pitch that Nola threw was a fastball on the outside part, and Stanton blasted it into the seats in right field. That fastball probably had a little too much of the plate or inner lane than Pinto wanted. And that target was on the outside part.
Certainly was a challenge pitch from Pinto, went right after him.
Count 1-2. So Stanton's at 46 now, and he sits 1 RBI shy of 100. Stanton chases a fastball and strikes out. First out of the 9th inning. All right, emails and tweets as we look at this last swing.
See two-seam action, drives it down in the zone. Stanton hasn't expanded his strike zone too many times this road trip, although he did right there.
Jerry from Coral Springs. If the Marlins and the Phillies both had an off day yesterday, why in the heck? That's not the word he used. Why in the heck did they schedule a 1 attendance doubleheader tonight?
It's not a hard one to answer. Here's your answer. The Philadelphia Phillies were in San Francisco yesterday, part of the CBA. Flying back from the West Coast, you're not allowed to play a game on Monday. That's the way it works.
Yelich is scorching right now. Drills that one. It's going to scoot all the way to Williams. Yelich doesn't slow down, and he's got himself another double. That's the second double on a bolt where the outfielder's been able to get to the ball, and yet Yelich hasn't missed a step, and he's 3 for 5.
Yeah, great read by Christian Yelich off the bat. Of course, these balls are hit so hard. Exit velocity way up over 100, no doubt. Great swing. He's anticipating two. That's how you do it. Thinking double out of the box. This isn't kind of speeding up as he gets around first base. He's anticipating going for 2.
Now, the last time the Marlins swept a doubleheader here in Philly, I believe was 2 seasons ago, and Yelich was 8 for 9 in that doubleheader. Ozuna takes a strike. I want to say that was the Saturday of the last weekend of the year, and then the next day Ichiro pitched.
Well, 8 for 9 won't happen today, but I'd love to see him get close.
Would you take 8 for 10?
I would, indeed.
All right. You
see some of the learning curve going on right there. Cameron Rupp talking to his pitcher, Pinto, trying to get him to stop Yelich. He's concerned with Ozuna in the box, not paying attention to Christian out at second base.
Ozuna takes in Marcel, 2-run homer in the 7th, singled in the 6th.
Yeah, we asked that question to ourselves, trying to figure out the answer why everybody was sitting around waiting yesterday. Now, of course, we thought maybe we were celebrating the eclipse, but that clearly was not the answer.
No, the players have some protection for not playing every day for a long stretch. There is a threshold where you have to have a day off, and you cannot play unless the players consent to play for, I want to say 20 or 21 straight days. And as Todd pointed out, if you finish your road trip on the West Coast, you can't come back and play the next day on the East Coast. That one fouled back. And you know what? I kind of like this doubleheader. I like this. I like the straight doubleheader. I like having the 4 o'clock start. Gives everybody an off day, and you go play 2. And so far it is to Miami's liking as well.
Agreed.
Ozuna lifts one foul.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a possibility, maybe in the new CBA, some of this stuff being worked out as far as more doubleheaders being scheduled. It certainly sounds like the players might be in favor of it a little bit more if it means a few more extra off days. Of course, that's going to be a give and take proposition. Ownership, think about it. You've got gates opening at 4 o'clock. You got 2 ball games being played. They certainly want the double gate, if you will.
Pitch misses in. Game 2 is coming up. Ozuna walks here. And we hope you'll stick around for Marlins Live between games. Again, we'll have that tribute to Felo Ramirez. If you haven't heard, the Marlins legendary Hall of Fame broadcaster passed this morning. And All of us here at Fox Sports Florida, all of us in the Marlins family, obviously saddened, but blessed to be touched by such an incredible life, full of accomplishment, full of mischief. If you spend any time around Felo, you found out even with limited English and our broken Spanish, he had an incredible sense of humor, very sharp wit. To right, that's hit well. Kim goes back at the wall. JT Real Muto, opposite field, 3-run homer. And the Marlins charge continues here in the 9th inning.
Well, Rich, I'm not going to play the insurance card. It certainly felt like, yeah, a few more runs would be nice, but I think for JT specifically, big base hit right there, big home run. Obviously the career highs, we talked about that in New York, but a nice swing of the bat. He'd been struggling a little bit on this road trip. Elevated fastball, drove it out the other way. 0 for 4 coming up into this at bat. You see it there, up near the letters. Real nice approach. Ball's jumping to all fields today.
Dietrich takes a fastball in. 7 home runs in this ball game, 4 hit by the Marlins. It's a warm day in Philly. This is a small ballpark to begin with, and both teams are taking advantage. Dietrich sends that one into the seats. 1 out here in the 9th. It's 12-5 Miami.
It's a 3-3 ball game in the 6th.
And both pitchers were kind of in a groove.
Right. It was, we were just thinking, I was actually thinking where the bullpens were going to go with this one. All of a sudden, we've got a 12-5 score here in the top of the 9th. Marlins have erupted.
Conservation. Now, look, we talked about Don Mattingly and Juan Nieves needing to conserve arms and trying to bring this one home, so you have plenty of ammo in your bullpen in the second game. There's no conserving if you're a hitter, man. You want to get it while it's good and try to stay hot in game 2. Alex wants to know, what's the email address to send a question to the booth? foxmarlins@gmail.com.
Was that an email or a tweet?
That was a tweet. That was a tweet.
It's the way you read it, you got me. I thought it was a joke.
No. Yes.
Well, I figured you're reading an email. I'm sitting here thinking, obviously he knows you're reading it.
Right. Well, I'll be honest with you. It used to be Email Tuesday before Twitter.
Oh, okay.
And then we made it Twitter Tuesday with emails. Gotcha. There's your both handles. And one of the things we found is that the emails tend to be a little more substantial. And the tweets oftentimes are one sentence declarative.
Gotcha.
Dustin McGowan's going to get this at bat, and this is what I mean by conserve. McGowan has thrown here, probably wouldn't go back to back and throw in game 2, so Don Mattingly's going to have him come out and pitch the bottom of the 9th.
Well, he's looking to get his batting average up over 100 for his career. Solid at bat here might get that done.
That's strike 3 called.
Maybe not.
Yeah, McGowan says, you know what, I'm not here to hit. It's 12-5. Everyone's getting a little hungry, too. Jose Urena will get the baseball in game 2. And Urena takes aim at the Phillies. He'll be opposed by Nick Pivetta, the 24-year-old Canadian, beat the Marlins earlier this year. So a good pitching matchup for game 2. And if you've enjoyed game 1, we'll have emails and tweets. We also, within the past 45 minutes, Fox Sports Florida has added to their crack staff a member of the Audubon Society. And so we will identify the Falcon with an expert's analysis coming up in game 2. Steve wants to know, what time is game 2? Center field, Yelich at the track, at the wall, and it gets out. And Tommy Joseph has homered. That's 8 home runs in this game.
Well, Tommy Joseph came into today's ball game struggling, no doubt about it. Got the start, striking out a couple of times, ripped a double to left center field, and now a home run to dead center field. That fastball from McGowan, center cut, thigh high.
Here is Kim now, and he takes a fastball up. Well, it's not going to cool off much between game 1 and game 2. So if you like the gun show, grab yourself something to eat and come on back. That one trickles into right center field. Kim with a hit. And the Korean outfielder has got himself a single.
2-hit day for Kim. One thing about this ballpark, it seems, we visited back in April. I don't remember the infield being this fast either. I don't know if the grass has taken a bit of a beating with all of the heat around here in Philly, but not only is the ball flying, but the infield is giving up some quick singles as well.
McGowan fumbles and flips and gets Franco. Kim arrives at second. There's one out here in the 9th. Miami is up 12-6.
McGowan would love to have turned 2. Bobbled it just a bit. Out at first base.
I think we should empty the mailbox.
Going to start over in game 2?
Yeah. All right. So Zach wants to know, could somebody please get the Screaming Kid a foul ball finally? He's becoming a star of the broadcast. We'll work on that.
The young man is a big-time Phillies fan, and he's a few rows below us.
Bouncer short. Nice hop up. Rojas to first, and there's 2 outs. Justin says, not a question, just a thank you to Holly Time for his giggle snort. Emmer wants to know, what would the Marlins look like with their entire rotation intact? That's a game that is dangerous to play, and it's just in being around this ball club, nobody around the team, whether it's Don Mattingly or any player, is lamenting, hey, wish we had this guy, hey, wish we had that guy. Because you look at even all the contending teams, postseason teams right now, there are teams that are playing without some star players. Everybody gets hurt. Everybody has injuries.
But what if May didn't happen?
It's all right. You just get yourself something to eat between games.
I'm getting a little hungry. This is true. It is easy to play. When you play every day, I think baseball gets second-guessed more than just about any sport out there because of that.
Josh wants to know, does Derek Dietrich remind anyone else of Darren Dalton other than the same initials? That's a nice Phillies tie to it. You see any resemblance between Dietrich and Dalton?
I definitely do in the necklace.
That's a good answer.
Dalton was known for his big crazy hair and gold necklaces.
Now, Dietrich doesn't have big crazy hair.
But not on the sides.
He has kind of flowing hair in the back. He's got a flow going, like,
sure he does.
Like Dalton did. And I'm sure Derek would be flattered with the comparison to Darren Dalton.
Dutch.
Double D. Andres Blanco getting the pinch hit here for the Phils with 2 outs in the 9th. Blanco to right, and that ball's getting out. My goodness. Justin McGowan's given up 3 home runs, and the Phillies are serving notice that even if they can't come back all the way in this game, that game 2 is not going to be easy.
Well, it certainly is not. And if you're the starters for the second game, you are taking notice of what's going on in game 1, which is don't miss above the knees. You might see Urena not throw anything higher than the knees. Same could be said for Pivetta. Get this, Pivetta's already allowed 19 home runs this year. Preparing for game 2, Marlins fans. 19 home runs. 93 2/3 innings.
So, if you're scoring with us at home, Miami has hit 4 home runs in this game. And now the Phillies have hit 5. Brad Ziegler is starting to loosen up. The Marlins certainly would like to have McGowan just finish it here. Ziegler really isn't into the latter stages of his warm-up progression. I'd like to save as much of that as you can for the possibility that he pitches game 2.
It's a good thing this isn't home run derby. Marlins would be losing.
Hernandez homered in the 8th. Tommy Joseph is homered. Cameron Rupp is homered. Andres Blanco is homered. Reese Hoskins has homered.
I'm ready to see. You better hurry up, man. There's 2 outs in the 9th.
That's it. You know what's one of the interesting things of the ball game with all these home runs? Nobody has hit more than 1. 9 homers, 9 different players. McGowan gets strike 2. And so McGowan at 34 pitches, no doubt, is done for the day.
22 hits, 9 home runs. That tells you almost half of the balls left the yard.
Struck him out, and down goes Hernandez. Miami wins the first, and they do it with a Giancarlo Stanton homer. With a Marcell Ozuna homer. With an Ichiro homer. And with a JT Realmuto homer. And a nice outing from Dan Straily. Marlins Live is coming up. Stick around. A lot to digest. Not only this ball game, but also that tribute to Felo Ramirez is coming up as well. 12-8 the final. That's just one game. We're back here in about 25 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Marlins Live takes over from here.